right, so we are back here, day two of the Reese's Senior Bowl practices in Mobile, Alabama, 2025. This time I got Brian joining me. Bad takes, Brian. He's going to help me recap the practices. We got day three tomorrow, and of course the game on Saturday. Your first thoughts, Brian? Obviously, you weren't in our first video, but you did all the technical stuff behind the scenes, which is much appreciated. Your thoughts on coming down here once again and what you've seen, your experience thus far.
Well, first off, thank you for letting me out of the cage so that this way I can, have my moment to talk about what I've seen. I've been stuck behind a camera for the last couple of days. But one thing I do want to say, there are a lot of guys, if we don't mention them, there are so many players here. There's over 100 players here this week. So we're not going to be able to touch on every single player. If you're not mentioned, if they're not mentioned, it doesn't mean that they're good. It doesn't mean they're bad. I mean, it could mean anything. It could also just mean, we just don't have enough time. Trust me, leading up to the draft, you're going to see more from these guys on these prospects in depth. So it's not something to be concerned about. We're going to talk about the guys that flashed the most, who looked like big winners on day two, and guys who really struggled and are going to need a really strong day three to make some more waves for themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll start with you, like I started with Luca yesterday. Who did you watch from the national side, and who do you feel won?
Well, on the national side, there were some guys I liked, some guys I didn't like. I mean, obviously, everybody's going to talk about the main story, Tez Johnson. Johnson's always, even today, I mean this so seriously. It feels like it's a repetitive point. Tez Johnson is quite literally unguardable. There is not a single DB I have seen that has been able to derail him from his route and keep him from making a play. You can't keep your hands on the guy. You don't care if he's 5'10", weighing 160. Doesn't matter if you can't keep up with him. I mean, it's been evident. He's the first guy that pops in my head. He's just been a beast in so many ways. I would also want to bring up another guy. I had a great chance to interview him earlier today. That could be coming out at some point soon. Aeneas Peebles from Virginia Tech. 6'1", pretty small for defensive tackle, but this guy has packed some punch. I mean, he has packed some punch. His ability against the run has been really strong. He's probably one of the best D linemen of the actual day that I saw today in terms of performance. Again, Mike Green obviously plays monster. I mean, that can't be denied. But when you look at it specifically defensive tackles, this guy's everything you want. You want a good run stopper. You want a guy that shows promise in the pass rush. I mean, Peebles is just whatever you want from him. He provides that for you. Forget his size. He gets to the quarterback. He takes down the centers and guards with these. You mean, you can literally play him anywhere. Any tech. 0 tech, 3 tech, 5 tech. It don't matter. This guy finds his way through. And that's exactly the kind of versatility you want out of your defensive lineman.
Yeah, I mean, piggybacking off what you said, you obviously said Tez Johnson, who is basically unguardable, as you mentioned. Aeneas Peebles. I think Mike Green had a better day today than he did yesterday. I mean, he's had a strong 2 days. And again, it's not to be understated how much him and Gray Zabel have really bumped their draft stock, because those two cats came from two different schools that are not big. I mean, Green had, I believe it was 17 and a half sacks last season, but he's not a first-round pick considered because he played for Marshall. Gray Zabel, he played all 5 positions at North Dakota State, which is a common manufacturer of NFL talent. And he had some reps at center today. I mean, he had one bad snap, but I would take him at center over Caleb Rogers, who, hasn't been that bad. My loser, definitely, one of them would be Jonah Monheim. I just don't think he's had a good 2 days here. Center was a position he played with the Trojans this past season, but it seems like him and Dylan Gabriel and all these other quarterbacks, even Alergsma, it just seems like there's no connection there. They got to keep building on that for Monheim to build a stock. As I said it in the video yesterday, I'm not really a big fan of his. I have a full scouting report on him, but Mike Green, he trucked Josh Connerly Jr. in one of the reps. It just like Connerly didn't have a chance to punch. That's how quick Mike Green was coming off the ball.
It's already made its way on the social waves. You haven't seen it. Somebody's got a clip somewhere. I am telling you, Green was a monster today.
Yeah, absolutely. And we got to interview Connerly. I didn't ask him about that rep, but we got to interview Connerly
Of
Jr.
course, can't do that.
Yeah, no. As far as the running backs go, I thought Woody Marks caught my eye. He's a guy I did a scouting report on. I think he's a decent running back, probably in the fourth round. You get him, maybe the fifth. Another USC Trojan, and a guy that really caught my eye today in the receiving game that's not named Tez Johnson was Jalen Noel. He got multiple reps, multiple catches. There was one catch that he got, and this is where Brian and I disagree. I thought Azariah Thomas didn't have a good day, personally. One of the plays was when Azariah Thomas was like all in his face, and Jalen Noel just comes down with it. I mean, you guys will get to see it in the second half of the show where we just display all the highlights and everything like that. But those are pretty much my winners and losers of day one. You got Tez Johnson, as we talked about, Mike Green, Woody Marks, Aeneas Peebles, Jalen Noel, Greg Zabel, and the loser being Jonah Monheim. So I would say for the most part it was pretty balanced. Where I really can't say that for the American side. In the particular group that you were studying, who stood out to you?
Well, I want to circle back to the national very quick.
Sure.
You know, I didn't mention any losers myself. There was one name. I mean, he was very hit or miss today, but it was notable. I guess you could classify him as a loser of the day. You know, had a weak day in my opinion. Cody Lindenberg. I'm
Yeah.
sure you guys are going to see a highlight out there of him getting a nice pick six today, but really, outside of that one rep that he had where he made a perfect read on the quarterback and just jumped the ball, he really wasn't doing great in coverage. I mean, they were putting him on drills
Yeah.
against running backs and they were blazing him. They cut right in front of him. He didn't have the quick initial quickness to change direction, gear forward, and try and attack the ball. He was struggling that front. He was getting beat downfield. I mean, you run vertical on him, he's playing catch up. His back pedal's weak. You know, slow to rotate around. You know, flip his hips and keep up and get back to speed. I mean, that's the biggest issue we saw today. And I think it's a very glaring one for a guy who I'm starting to think probably fits more as a spy guy in the league, you know, in a Mike situation. I think another guy I want to bring up just as a negative,
Sure.
it's just the last guy here for the National, Jalen Smith.
Okay. Yeah.
Jalen Smith,
USC.
USC. I scouted him. He went to a big school. I mean, that's something I could say about him. But outside of that, I've yet to see one very good day from him. One very good rep. One where I said, yeah, he won. Yeah, he did everything right. Yes, this looks exactly like what his potential could be. I'm not seeing it with him. I haven't found one. He's gotten lucky a couple times, but nothing that shows like, oh, his technique and his abilities are way better. But now, if we flip over to the American side, and again, don't think I'm being too harsh, these guys. I'm telling you, I call it as it is. You know, I'm not afraid to speak it. Now, if we talk about positives today, I mean, the offensive line's really more where I was looking today. I wanted to see the trenches. I didn't get really to see a good look at that on day one. So day two, I made sure to take extra time to really dive deep into it. And I think one of the few guys I think did pretty well for the most part was Frazier. I mean, a little inconsistent at times, but overall he did a pretty good job deterring some rush and, you know, taking on some good blocks. And I think there's one guy who had a much better day. I'm sure you're going to be a fan of him. Your guy, Willie Lampkin. Lampkin had some good reps. He actually had him taking snaps at center, surprisingly,
Yeah.
which I think is I think it's probably due to the fact that there really aren't that many centers here at the Super Bowl, so let him take some snaps. But Lampkin was also playing very well. And I'm going to throw in and shout out my guy from Alabama A&M, the HBCU, Carson Vincent, man. Wow. He had one hell of a game today, one hell of a practice. He's getting thrown out with the second rounders, third round projected guys, and he's handling it. He's deterring them, keeping them rounded out, not even able to get near the pocket at all, anywhere near the quarterback. True success, honestly. And I'm very happy for him, and they're doing very well.
Yeah, off topic because I believe I was watching. Yeah, I was watching more of the wide receivers and DBs from one side of the practice. Jonas Sanker, because it's either going to pertain to the American side or the national side. Jonas Sanker, is he on the American squad or the national squad?
I believe he is on the national squad. And the thing with Sanker is, I did take a look at him. In the safety group, there's only one guy that really did pretty strong today in general, and I mean, really nobody stood out massively.
No,
They all had their good reps, bad reps. Sanker really didn't have many good reps.
no. The
No,
reason why
he had
the
problems.
reason why I asked that is because he was one of the notable guys, and I'm like, I was thinking to myself while you were talking, I'm like, well, there was part of the practice. I want to say it was the national side where it was just a bunch of being flags being thrown in, and one of them was Sanker, and again there was Quincy Riley got better as the practice went on. I know a lot of people said he was like an ultimate winner of the practice. I said, okay, he got better as as it went on.
You know, he started slow.
Uh, Darian Porter, he's a guy who had a holding penalty. Sanker, as I mentioned before,
I believe Lane had one too at one
Lane
point.
did. Yes,
Lane.
you're right on that. So the wide receivers and some of the tight ends, because Ferguson and Arroyo both had good days. Again, reverting back to the national side, yeah, they put the DBs in a little bit of a blender today. But as far as my American winners, and I promise the first two aren't biased because we got to interview them, is Jackson Slater. I thought he played really well at left
Yes,
guard.
he did. He did a pretty good job
Another
today.
small school kid, Sacramento State. The next guy, and he told me how to pronounce it, so I'm going to try the best as I can. Princely Uman Milan. I believe that's how you say it. Ole Miss defensive end. I thought he did really well, especially in those one-on-ones. And it's just he goes with speed. That's what wins. He sticks to what works, but he knows, again, spoiler, at the NFL level, he's going to have to use his hands a little bit more. But again, he's sticking to what works. I thought Savion Jones had a really good day.
Yes.
He is a dude with huge, huge arms coming out of LSU. I was watching his tape. I feel like there could have been more production, but I think if he gets with the right staff, the right set of coaches, that he could be a piece on an NFL defense. And then kind of aligning what you were saying, this guy has won really 2 straight days in Miles Frazier, another LSU product. His anchor's been good. He hasn't really been deterred by the speed or the bull rush. Uh, Better than his teammate Garen Dellinger. But for me, it's Frazier, Savion Jones, Willie Lampkin. As you said, he's a guy who struggled a little bit yesterday, maybe one or two bad reps today. Undersized, 5'10", 270, but he's played well above his size, and he's played above a lot of these guys that are here. And then, of course, Uman Milan and Jackson Slater. Who do you think lost the practice today?
Let me give a quick shout out also to two more offensive linemen. These guys played out of their minds today, too. They're worth noting because they played inside of the guard and also at center at times. Shout out to Bear. Bear was one.
Jacob Bear.
Bear had some nice reps towards the end on 11 on 11s. And then I want to also say the same for Webb, Clay Webb. Clay Webb had some really good stuff, too.
Yeah.
I saw one anchoring play. He took Walter Nolan out of the play. And that is something to say because Nolan's expected first round pick. So that's a huge accomplishment on that front. In terms of losers on the American side today, is it wrong if I go quarterback, one quarterback specifically?
No.
Because I will say one thing. Milroe got better today. I'll say that Leonard did solid today. I'll say Hennigan played the same way he did yesterday. But I don't know if Dart improved that much.
I will say this, and I'm not defending him because I happen to like Dart. And I just haven't seen like a ton from these quarterbacks. Maybe I'm not paying attention enough. But I hate, me personally, but I don't like Bubba Vinchone's practice. And maybe it's him or maybe it's the offensive coordinator Joel Thomas, but they run it. They run it a shit ton. And it's like, I get that. Obviously, ground and pound, practice reps, run blocking reps, whatever. But like the American side has the better quarterbacks: Jalen Milroe, Riley Leonard, Jackson Dart, Seth Hannigan. So I can agree with you that Jackson Dart hasn't looked great. Milroe hasn't looked great either. No one's really standing out because I think they need. I just think they need more reps. We'll probably see more either tomorrow or when the game comes on.
I do think that's. I think you do. I do think you're right in that front. Mainly because they have been leaning a lot on the run plays. They haven't really been relying more on the ground than they are on the air. And I don't know how to explain it. It's just been. I don't know why they're sticking so far to the ground. But there was one really nice catch today. One very nice catch by one receiver. That receiver was Beck.
Jack Beck, yes. 2 days in a row, he's had some nice catches.
He did, and also I think Arian Smith had one too.
Yeah.
There was one going down the sideline. Now again, one thing I have an issue with Arian Smith because I still think he might be a loser today, just because drops have been a major issue. And today I saw his footwork a little more, and there were some things I'm still a little concerned about with him. He's going to have to iron out, but he can't hold on to the ball. He's getting the ball hit straight to his hands, and he's not holding on to it. And that's a bad news, especially for a guy from the SEC. You're looking for good hands. You played top competition. You shouldn't be having the drops you're having. He's aware of this. He's trying very hard to improve that, and I appreciate that. It's still worth noting it's still going on. But he had only one rep today I really, really loved. I believe Lane was in coverage on it, or
Okay.
somebody else was, and he was running downfield and a safety went to go grab him, and he ends up making a play out towards the sideline corner of the end zone. He dived out of bounds, secured the ball. Everybody thought it was incomplete. He actually caught it with 2 feet in, freaking stunned. He was blanketed. It was perfect coverage. He still came down. That was the best catch of the day. Very redeeming for him. But, I mean, in negatives, I don't think Neal did that well, but I'm not going to say he had a bad day. I, is there really any receivers we can, like, knock out and say, yo, he was bad? Like, I don't think I don't think
Some
there
that
was one
maybe
we could
not.
say.
I mean, I can't think off the top of my head. I feel like it was either one play downfield that he came down with, or just a DB made a play on him. It wasn't by us. It was Isaac Tesla at I think it was Arkansas, but you can't really do much about that. I don't think there was any glaring drops.
Yeah.
I don't think like yesterday Arroyo had a glaring drop. I don't think there was any glaring drops today. What I will say also is this to transition to another position. It's kind of one we could all agree on. Emory Jones had a horrible
Holy,
day.
my goodness, he was
I
bad
mean,
today.
he
He had a
he
couple
he
reps, couple good ones,
towards
but
the end of practice, but Shamar Stewart just trounced around him for it was a forced fumble on Seth Hennigan. There was a play. I got it right here on my sheet. Um, there was I think I want to say I could be wrong. Oben from Notre Dame, which I believe, yeah, I think because he went around Emory Jones, and Milrow was forced to throw that ball, and Jack Kaiser picked it off.
yes.
That was another Prince Uman Milan. He was another guy that put it Emory Jones on skates.
Yep.
So he
He's
was he was he was really having a tough go about it today.
yeah, it was a hard time for him too. I think I'm going to include in the group as well Dellinger.
Yeah,
Because listen,
agree.
I try my best not to get down on a guy so quickly, especially somebody who's from LSU who produces so much good talent every year. But it's worth noting that Dellinger hasn't been performing at the level I expected. I expected better from him going into this event. He hasn't lived up to those expectations. I'm sure some other teams have seen it the same way. I mean, my biggest problem is that, does he climbs quickly with authority, which is a good thing. But
Right.
that's if you actually pick up the block and take the guy out of the play and let somebody else make sure that they're holding that guy out of the play. I like a guy that can climb to the second level, take one assignment, boom, done. Get to the next assignment, find the next guy near you, attack him. When Dellinger has to roll and go into the second level, he sometimes abandons his assignment too early before he properly finishes the block. And when he doesn't properly finish, it leaves the door open for his running back behind him to get tailed and knocked down early, and you just do not want that. It's even also when he's rolling out to open space trying to land a block. Rolling out in open space, he makes a bad judgment. He's like, this linebacker's coming in. I think there was a play. Linebacker was coming through trying to make an attack. I believe it was either on Harvey or Hunter, the running back. UCF had
Harvey
recovered.
made some nice catches today. I will say that.
Yeah, and ETN too. ETN had a monster day. But there's one play, I think it's either Harvey or Hunter was running out, and this guy's in front of him, and he has a chance to pick up this linebacker that's coming through. I believe it might have been Demetrius Knight. He didn't. He decided not to take on Knight and move to the next level to take out a safety. And when he did that, that linebacker came by behind him and took Hunter out of the play and cut his yard short. When he picks up that block, I'm confident the running back can handle the safety. And it's just a kind of an image of picking your priorities. And sometimes he picks the wrong priority. He needs to keep that more in mind, his decision making on those blocks, especially just his timing when he's climbing. Finish your job, then go to the next one. It's a long game and it's a long drive. It's always this. Every play is long. It feels like a lifetime.
Yeah, I mean, and just to wrap up, I mean, I would disagree with Jacob Bayer. Maybe you saw more reps towards the end of practice where he improved. I feel like it hasn't been a great 2 days for him. And I'll give one guy a mulligan, but he lost a couple of different reps. Willie Lampkin held this guy up. It wasn't Slater. It was 60. Was it 69 with Slater? 69. I think it may have been Slater.
69 is Bear. 67 was Slater.
Okay. So Bayer may have actually had a very good rep against this guy, TJ Sanders, out of South Carolina. But the reason I give him a mulligan is he said he was dealing with an injury, a lower leg injury during practice, which he dealt with during the season. But he's going to go out on Thursday and give it another shot. And then obviously, if all goes well, he's going to go play in the Senior Bowl game. But any final notes to add?
Final note, I'm going to give you guys my favorite player of the day.
Okay.
This is a guy I feel like dominated in every facet of the game. I haven't named him. I purposely have not named him just so I can say his name now. I think the best player of the day that I watched was Nick Martin.
Okay.
The linebacker from Oklahoma State. I originally had him as a day 3 guy, but things that I saw today proved a lot more for me that this is someone who could definitely start on a team. And what I mean is he's got good closing speed. He may let a route go, underneath him a little bit, but what he's good at is keeping the play in front of him. He's got to show great tackling approach, showing patience, chopping feet so he could change direction as quick as needed. And I mean, he flowed through drills effortlessly. Any kind of player he went up against, he was batting balls down, making quick tackles. He did everything right that you wanted from the linebacker group. He probably was the best linebacker of the day, if not the best player of the day to me. And he really deserves that. So that's one of my final thoughts. Overall, I'm excited for day 3. Day 3 is the last chance for these guys to really put on a show and impress these scouts before the big game on Saturday. So got some guys that really need to show out. Some guys I really want to see more from, like Yaya Black, Tafuna, just to name a couple. Alexander also had a good day. We didn't mention him. And I think if we really want to go with one more, I mean, I didn't really get much on Ezeraku, but I know he's been very strong for the most part. He's had a strong showing.
Quite productive. So we'll be back for day 3 recap. I think we're going to try to figure out an audio situation where we can do all 3 of us. And of course, on Saturday night, likely we'll have a video out after the Senior Bowl game, recapping everything. And of course, the place you got to check is Twitter before YouTube, because obviously I live tweet, I put the footage out there, and even some of the interviews come across. So we appreciate you guys. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications so you know when a live stream pops video drops. Appreciate you coming back. Also, as far as he goes, please, again, subscribe to the Brian Mansell Show. You look like you have something to say.
Well, first off, Brian Mansell Show, quick announcement. It will be coming back in full time, and it will be weekdays, 30 minutes episodes, starting the day after the Super Bowl. So that would be not this coming Monday, the following Monday. We will begin 30-minute episodes every day, Monday through Friday, starting off to kick off the offseason, prepping for the draft. So you'll get to hear some interviews I had out here at the Senior Bowl with some guys that I was able to run into. Trust me, you don't want to miss those. Those are absolutely great. And if you're not subscribed to the YouTube, subscribe to the Twitch as well. Same handle, the Brian Mansell Show, and on X, BA Mansell. And also make sure you like, subscribe, and comment on their stuff, because I don't get paid for these guest appearances. They have to give me Cheez-Its off the floor. I get paid a little lint and lint. Belly lint? Yeah, that's what I get. I get lint. I don't get paid. So please subscribe.
Please subscribe, do all the good stuff so we can give Brian a little bit more than the Cheez-Its that come off the floor. We appreciate you guys.
And as an inside joke, maybe some new pants too.
Maybe some new pants. We appreciate you guys, and we'll see you for the day 3 recap.
rotation back. Now, what did you play?
I was a snapper.
I hit him up. He's like, look, no idea what I'm looking for. And he sent me right up what he was looking for.
Luke Rose, Christian Kinney for the Steelers, Boneheimer for the Raiders. He's got the Jags guy, massive.
He's done a lot.
A couple of years too late. I was. Yeah, my last 2 years ago. I think we only had a couple guys that had deals like yeah. He's with the Ravens now. He's from USA. Both very similar.
Receiving running back.
He's a good receiver. Okay.
TJ James.
Yeah. He's a good football player.
He is. I was surprised.
That version is not one film because it never won so much quicker, more confident.
Oh shit!
Just seeing how they work out and also so hopeful, you know, finding good things like that.
And I would.
I watched Tez run a play. He cut perfectly across. You can try and keep up with him. You're getting beat by him.
Nice. There's defense again, but that's going to be a whole.
Okay,
He can play all five.
let's watch David move. This place, Yaya, quick, my God. Jordan's a little twitchy, he gets a little impatient at the launch of the snap. We're going to watch. See his head movement right there? He's really sensitive.
Snap is low.
He's trying to jump above the top. Joiner at the end.
Not much pull. Alexander.
Oh, you got to click. These other guys that are marked up for D-line and they require. Oh, you got him. That's how it is.
Hennigan. Did they just throw a flag? Yeah, Dyke's not creating a celebration. Last rep.
That's it.
Those are the receivers. Ivy in the backfield quickly.
69 center. Got blown up that time. That would be Bear.
Isn't that
Had an initial stop, but Jackson. Okay. Oh, he jumped early. That's an early jump. Before I start from him.
Yeah.
We're gonna have
Demetrius Knight. That's
Demetrius
Brian's guy.
Knight laid him. Laid the hammer. They laid a hammer on him.
I like to also say Frazier was paving that hole.
Did that
When
on
are they going to start throwing the
I'm telling
ball?
you. I love it.
When are they going to start throwing the ball? They got better quarterbacks than the national team.
The quarterbacks weren't doing bad in just the simple drills.
This is what I don't understand. We haven't seen much vertical. Why would you do that?
Left it yesterday. I'm going to do it now. I need my back box.
Alright, I'm gonna try to see if I can read the left side. I can't really see it.
It's a tackle for sure. Left.
Good hands that time. Oh, good rep, good rep, good rep.
Both ends of the Notre Dame spectrum. Kaiser with the interception, Oben with the pressure off the edge.
52 had a good rep. That's Brown. That's a good rep. Guy was trying to bull rush him, sent him down. Sent him to the ground. I say Notre Dame guys this year are playing better than the guys last year.
That's fair.
Defensive guys last year were a little underwhelming. This year they're playing real good. Oben and Kaiser are doing their work.
Do you know if it was a tight end or a right tackle blocking over?
Right tackle.
Who was the quarterback that time?
I think the right tackle. I don't remember who it was. Overset his hands.
Who was it? Did you see a color helmet?
LSU.
Okay, so that was probably
Emory
Dellinger.
Jones.
It could have been Dellinger, or it could have been.
No, he's saying right tackle. Emory Jones.
Yeah, so it couldn't be. Yeah, it might have been Frazier.
Nice hole.
I like this. Savana's size is really appealing.
It's uncanny.
It's weird. He plays big. He does. It's like as he's climbing forward, nobody's really got a chance to really get hands and put a stop to him.